Hello everyone, it's Matt here and welcome to the March vlog. Now obviously with the current world climate it would be irresponsible of me not to mention Corona. And of course its technical or medical description as COVID-19. Obviously, I am not exempt from being affected. I don't have it myself, but I have been classed as higher risk due to a family member who's had recent heart surgery. So I am having to work from home, which isn't too bad because I'm only doing half days at the moment, which isn't as bad as it could be. Originally had this week off, but so as it is. Obviously, as well, it would be irresponsible of me not to re-advise you if you are watching on the standard guidelines. Please wash your hands for a minimum of 20 seconds. Please ensure you're bare below the elbow, as I am. Make sure everything is clean as possible. If you're not cleaning something or haven't cleaned it recently, please clean it. Although the virus does not last long on surfaces, if you're in a household where there are vulnerable people or people where they are susceptible to diseases a bit more frequently, such as they don't have as good an immune system or something like that, even minimal contact could spread the virus. So, I urge you to please take caution, not just for yourself, but any relatives that you may pass it on to, or friends that may act as carriers to vulnerable people in the society. Depressing message over with. Let's get on with the March vlog. Now, obviously, I have hinted at Corona. It has had a major impact on me as a hobbyist as well. Firstly being that the mass cancellation of all events. Now I want to add a disclaimer to this point because although I was supposed to be going to Milton Keynes Brick Festival last weekend, or North Notts, or something else, I hate to remember which ones have been cancelled now because there have been so many. But effectively the event community in the UK has just collapsed to nothing pretty much. Some events happening later on in the year are still going ahead, and as far as I'm aware, due to the new restrictions on UK citizens travelling to America and the current climate of the way the virus is spreading, I have taken the provisional guidance to cancel my trip to America in June to attend Tomstock 2020 as part of the A Modeller's Life podcast gathering. A bit unfortunate, but I'd not actually spent any money outside of the $20 deposit. So I've messaged Tom, who's via the page, to sort of say that, due to travel restrictions and the way it's currently panning out, it's unlikely that I'll be able to visit. I've released the hotel booking, so it should be available for somebody else to book. I sort of said that, unfortunately, that's the way it is. If there is the opportunity to book again, possibly at a later date, if it doesn't pan out as bad as it is, or what have you, then possibly I might be changing that from a yes to a no back to a yes. But it obviously depends on the world situation and depends on how various things pan out. Moving on to other things, obviously I'll talk about events as well. The next event that I'm currently scheduled to go to, providing it itself is also not cancelled, is the Black Country Brick Show, which is happening towards the tail end of July, I believe it is. It is on my Facebook page. I'll have to have a check and see when it is. But effectively up until July, I currently have no events booked for partially Corona, partially because I don't actually do that many. So obviously moving on to other things. The next bit I want to talk about is Johnni-D and vehicles. So obviously some of you may have been watching Instagram and think I've been building some Johnni-D vehicles. You can see some of them, if I get the right shoulder, behind me on some of the storage units. You've seen the police cars, for example. So there's two of these lying about in my room. Some of the other vehicles I've been getting on with are such as the 1936 DeSoto Taxi. Now this is quite a nice model. It's not a complete one. There's tile missing. There's a few of the bits and pieces that need attention. But other than that, it's a nice complete model. I've also bought the Cadillac Town Cabriolet, I believe it is, which is the Al Capone car. I've actually built one in dark green, which is currently just off camera. There are a few bits and pieces outstanding on it which have been ordered, and again, quite a lot, like a lot of the things I'll talk about, the delivery of the parts has possibly been affected by Corona, so I'm just waiting for those to arrive. Then that'll be complete. I'm also building another one of those cars in dark red as well, and again, that is pretty much complete outside of a couple of pieces, most noticeably the parts for the engine bonnet and the spare tyres, because I'm fitting all my Johnni-D vehicles where possible and aesthetically pleasing, you know, as it would be to look at with them, are part 132 old, as it would be called on Bricklink, which is an old style Lego tyre. And now I say old style, I don't think it's been manufactured since the 90s. Obviously I stand to be corrected on that, and I'll probably add a little thing to sort of say whether I'm right or wrong in this point in the video. But it is a really nice tyre. It's got some nice ridge lines around the outside. You can also make like a white walled version by using the one in grey or white, if you can get hold of them in white, because they're not as common, and attaching one of the newer Style City tyres, stretching it slightly and then applying it around the outside, which I have done to one vehicle, which it does look quite good on, but unfortunately you've got to get the tyre, and some of them can be a little expensive if you want a good quality version. So obviously I'm getting on with some of the Johnni-D stuff. As always, there is an active post on Facebook. Well, I say post, it's actually a note. And that actually gives you the current status of the vehicles I'm actually working on, such as the DeSoto taxi, which I've yet to update, saying how complete it is. It's pretty much complete. I think there's about, actually thinking about it, I think there's just 2 parts that need delivering effectively, because I've ordered them. And it'll be complete, so that's another one ticked off the list. Moving on to other things, such as Mills. Mills is obviously the modular integrated landscaping system, and this might be a hint. Some of you may recognise the brand, and I've actually started the construction of said facility or shop. And obviously this is by no means a completed model. You can sort of see that it's just got the walls, the door, and the table. I've actually also depressed the pavement here, or as it would be there, because the whole thing is that it was originally going to have the sidewalk extend all the way down. That's not the most realistic when you've only got another patch of green right next to it, connecting to the railway track. Or railroad track I should say, so I'm not going to go ahead with that. So I've made it green. I will update the track because this section here actually joins onto the 16 by 32 road section, which then joins onto the level crossing. So this is actually on the corner facing out onto the level crossing, which should make a really nice sort of photographic point, I believe. And obviously I'm doing it as a 16 by 32 because this would be the outer edge, as it would be on the display. So obviously you can see the interior. Obviously, I've yet to do it. That's such as it is. Now you may notice a couple of things in here that have been copied off the diner, such as the table here. That's been copied off along with the little serviette point, as well as the vending machine out here on the front. I'm getting on with this. I have got a design for this, so I will be starting to do a bit more with this. Obviously it's changed slightly with the new change there, but never mind. I'll possibly be changing some bits around on this as well, because obviously there's quite a lot of nice dark grey pieces I'll want to possibly scavenge and use elsewhere, so I can use some like rainbow sort of coloured piece in here, so it's not as, you know, I can save those pieces for making my display a bit more presentable to the outside. And I am going to be using Mills for my exhibition layout, so obviously once this is done I can move on to the next module. I have been building some track. Where is it? Yeah. So you can sort of see I've been building some track up, and part of the things I have ordered have been 1x1 tiles. I've got plenty of black 1x4 tiles. I've actually got a tub somewhere in that corner which is full of them, so I am not short of pieces for track panels. As far as I'm aware, I've got plenty of 1x2s as well. The biggest issue is the 1x1 tiles. I did have another 100 and something arrive late last week, but again, they, like most things, disappear quickly. Because obviously you're using what is it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so you're using 16 of the 1x1 studs per section, so 32 for 2 sections, and obviously then 48 for 3, and it just balloons on. So you know that 150 doesn't actually go that far in comparison. I've also been using the black 1x1 to a few other bits and pieces as well. Obviously, for some of this, I'm also going through sorting out some of my older Lego and some of my other bits of Lego, so that's obviously taken time as well for me to doing other things. It's yielded a few good things. So I found some more of the give me a second, of these track pieces. I had some of these in one of my many tubs. I've been able to sort through some of my pick-a-brick cups that have been lying around for a while. Some of those had bits in for the Mills modules, so obviously I can then forward those pieces onto those projects. And it's just generally a bit of a sort through and tidy up, especially with my desk, because obviously it's a bit messy, and they do need to tidy up and finish off some bits and pieces, and just generally make it a bit more of a workstation and cleaner environment rather than just a dumping ground, for obvious reasons. And obviously sorting will help me save money as well in the long run, because I can find bits and pieces to use in other things. So for example, I found that one of the sets I'd bought for Overwatch actually contains some pieces I can use in other things, so it's good to, you know, buy a set you don't realise you got some pieces that you need, and you can just start pilfering them as you need to. So that's always good. Odds and sods I've got listed on my notes here. I don't really think I have anything else to add. Obviously, if you've got any questions, please post them below. I am doing some builds for LNUR. I did post a little bit of a hint on Instagram for those of you who recognise some of the design work on those coaches. You know, top marks to you. Then it's not the most recognisable from that paint scheme, but you will notice what they are. Suffice to say, it's a bit of a luxurious event should you be able to afford it. So I'm actually looking forward to getting those. But again, like most of the projects I'm working on, they're reliant on orders arriving from Brickling, from eBay, for example, because I've actually ordered some stuff off eBay, surprisingly. There was a seller who'd got a really good quantity of train bits, so buffer stops, magnets, magnet holders, and some train wheels, and they were selling it for £45. So you do the math at £1 plus a magnet, and there's 24 of them. 24 quid is already spoken for, and that's very low basing for those style of train magnets. And Brickling, it's not uncommon for those to go to £1.20, £1.30, possibly even £1.40, and I have bought some at that price previously. So obviously that £1.40, it's an extra 40p per magnet. You calculate that over the 24 that's in there, and suddenly it seems a lot better value. And the other thing is, a lot of these orders are coming from the UK as well. So not only is it speedier, because obviously they're not coming from abroad, they're less likely to have issues with travelling around, because obviously they're already in the UK. I did expect some orders to arrive, well, at least one order to arrive Saturday. It didn't, so hopefully it should be arriving today instead. Well, not today, but tomorrow, I should say, because it didn't arrive Saturday. I hope for it to arrive today, didn't. So hopefully some of these orders will start piling in over the next 2 or 3 days, but I can start obviously preparing those and putting them in the models, or putting them into storage or what have you, depending on what they need it for. I do believe that's going to be it. So obviously I'm going to say that the next thing really, I'm not sure what's going to be next on the channel. I might do a standalone video about the Johnni-D vehicles I'm building, or some of the older style vehicles I'm building. I do want to post something about possibly doing something about old style advertising and, you know, sort of lettering, because there is quite a lot of it around Birmingham, so I've got photos or bits of, so I can start doing stuff on that. So I might upload something about that. Very remains to be seen. Obviously, if you've got anything, you know, please post a comment to ask any questions, or send a message, or post a comment on Facebook or Instagram. I'm generally speaking reasonably reactive. Normally I can post a reply within an hour or so. Even if it's not the complete answer, at least it will be a partial answer, such as I think it's X, but I'll need to go and get the link to make sure. And I can do things like that. So that's it from me for now for the March vlog, and see you soon.